In less than an hour, we expect to learn more about the investigation into the wreck of El Faro. The vice chair of the National Transportation Safety Board plans to hold a news conference at 7, which you'll be able to watch live here on Channel 4 and on news4jax.com. The NTSB team has now spent 2 full days in Jacksonville, starting the long process of figuring out why the cargo ship sank. This afternoon, El Faro's sister ship, El Yunque, pulled into Jacksport. The two ships aren't identical, but they are very, very similar. They were built in the same shipyard. NTSB investigators say they'll be looking at it to learn more about how the ship operates and what El Faro may have faced. Tomorrow, Senator Bill Nelson plans to meet with the NTSB team. Today, he sent the board's chairman a letter which reads in part, quote, "As part of your investigation into the missing tote container ship, I ask that you immediately review tote's policies and guidance on vessel operations in severe weather. Further, I urge you to make any necessary safety recommendations as soon as possible to prevent other similar tragedies from occurring." Jennifer Scott Johnson is in Talleyrand where a vigil of the family members will be held tonight. But we start with Channel 4's Ethan Calloway live on the South Side with more on legal action that may be coming. Ethan?
Well, Ken, attorneys we spoke with today say it's pretty likely many of these family members will file suit. One local attorney took out a quarter-page ad in today's edition of the Times-Union trying to appeal to those family members. Chris Johns is with Johns & Rowan Accident Attorneys. This is the advertisement his firm placed in the Metro section of Thursday's Times-Union. Johns tells me their goal was to reach out to the families in a time of need.
My firm took out the ad in order to let the families of the crew members know that they have rights and they certainly can have quality, excellent representation if they so choose from my firm or any other firm in town.
But it hasn't come without criticism. John says he's received backlash since the ad was published, with some suggesting it was distasteful.
I didn't solicit anybody directly. I certainly didn't call any of these family members. I would never do such a thing. I didn't write a letter to any of these family members. I didn't knock on their doors, and I never would do that. I simply placed an ad in the paper, extending my condolences.
And that's a very, very hard thing for people to deal with, is grieving when they don't have a body.
We spoke with local maritime attorney Rod Sullivan about how this could play out in court. He says the current situation could make things complicated for family members in the beginning.
At this point, the families can't do anything because of the fact there have been no death certificates issued and no personal representatives appointed. So that's really the first step.
And Sullivan says that could take some time. As for Johns, he says he only wants to help.
And I just can't even begin to imagine how unbearable it must be to be in the current limbo state that they are in.
And family members we've spoken with say their focus remains on their lost loved ones. No official word at this time on any pending litigation involving the El Faro. Reporting live on the South Side, Ethan Calloway, Channel 4, the local station.
Tonight, the community is showing its support for the families who lost loved ones on El Faro. These are some of those lost. When the cargo ship went down during Hurricane Joaquin, there were 33 people aboard. 15 had ties to Jacksonville. The local group Mad Dads organized a candlelight vigil tonight in Talleyrand, and Scott Johnson is there. Scott, did the group tell you why they felt so compelled to organize this event?
Well, they were called in to help. Usually Mad Dads is called in with vigils if there's been some sort of crime. In this case, though, someone close to one of the families called asking for help to set this all up. And in just the last few minutes, people have started showing up here for the vigil, for the families and friends and people who knew members of the El Faro were in a field right across the street from the headquarters to Jacksport, where all the shipping industry is centered in Jacksonville. So we're expecting a good turnout tonight. In the last few minutes, I've seen a dozen or so people just start to pull up, prepared for this 6:30 vigil. This is something that the community is really getting behind because so much death, frankly, has hit this community so hard. We know at least 15 families from the Jacksonville area, and they are coming here tonight to share in their grief. They were really hit hard yesterday after the Coast Guard announced they were suspending the search. I know this is one of 2 vigils that are going on in Jacksonville tonight. I am the one here at Jacksport. We'll have another crew at one up in the Ocean Way area. So a lot of people coming out to show support for these families who are going through such a grief-stricken, very hopeless time after roughly 24 hours after the Coast Guard suspended its search. Much more from this vigil tonight at 10 and 11. For now, we're live at Jacksport and Talleyrand. Scott Johnson, Channel 4, the local station.
Thank you, Scott. And stay with News 4 Jax as we follow the investigation into El Faro. Again, the National Transportation Safety Board will hold a news conference at 7 tonight on the south side. You'll be able to watch that on Channel 4 and online at news4jax.com.